Good afternoon. This is Oliver Slow, Blue Line Futures, coming to you from the Chicago Board of Trade. Today is Tuesday, November 26th. A bit of a mixed bag. Before we get into today's closing prices and headlines, I want to remind you, if you have not subscribed to our YouTube channel, head over to youtube.com, search Blue Line Futures, hit that subscribe button, and please turn on those notifications. We do appreciate the support. Now that we got that out of the way, we can go ahead and get into today's closing prices. And for grains, it was a little bit of a mixed bag. We saw March corn futures a nickel lower, settling at $4.28. January soybeans, they traded on both sides of unchanged, but settled 2 1/4 cents lower to $9.83 1/2. And March Chicago wheat, that was actually the strong hand today, settling 2 1/4 cents higher, settling at $5.58. Over on the livestock side of things, it was mostly higher with the exception of a couple live cattle contracts. February futures, the front month contract, unchanged, settling at $187.70. Over on the feeder cattle side of things, yesterday kind of threw us for a loop. We had that big gap higher and then a kind of a lower close or a close off of those highs, still positive gains. But nonetheless, that not so friendly price action yesterday didn't really impose much pressure in today's trade. We saw 262 higher in that January contract, settling at 258.10. And over on the snout side, it was the February lean hogs, 235 higher, the leader to the upside, settling at 88.27. That was good enough for a new contract high. Now that we got that out of the way, we can get into today's headlines, which really started Monday night. Monday night, President-elect Donald Trump threatened tariffs on Canada and Mexico until those countries clamp down on drugs and tighten the border. My thought on this personally, the timing of this headline, darn near impossible to predict, but I think most traders and other market participants felt that it was largely inevitable. Just when is it going to come? We got it last night. And I'm sure it won't be the first and won't be the last. We're going to continue to get trade headlines coming across the news wire. Whether or not that's going to have a substantial impact on price action, I think is to be determined. I think the market's largely done a good job at anticipating that, and I think that was reflected in the overnight trade and early morning trade, where the market's really, they traded a little bit lower Monday night, but found their footing and sea legs, and we're actually able to trade in the positive territory this morning. So I think the market's done a good job at digesting that information. Other thing I want to touch on, soybeans on the move. Yesterday's weekly export inspections, 2.1 million metric tons. And we've seen exporters ship soybeans from the busiest U.S. grain port at the fastest rate in nearly 4 years after rain raised water levels in the Mississippi River. This is seasonally a good time of year for exports in soybeans, and hopefully we can see that continue into and through the month of December. And then once we get into the new year, a lot of that's going to be potential Brazilian soybeans coming on the market. So we've got a good chunk of time here to get some good business done. Hopefully we can continue to see that. When you look at the seasonality of the export data, you can see it also reflect with the seasonality of decent prices too. Whether or not that is able to hold true this year, to be determined. We're still holding the low end of the price range going back to August, so that looks fairly constructive. But again, we need to see this export data continue to be firm, and I think that provides a good risk-reward trade potentially to the upside in the near term, again, so long as we can defend those August lows. Now, over on the wheat side of things, that's where we're going to finish today. Monday's crop progress report, really good for the winter wheat crop, 55%. Good to excellent rating as of Sunday. That was up from 49% a week earlier and above the average analyst of 51%. That improvement since late October amounts to a 17% increase in good to excellent conditions, the biggest improvement ever for that time period. In other wheat news, the European Union reported soft wheat exports at 9.15 million metric tons. That was down 30% from 13.08 million tons last year. The wheat market, that's been a tough one. We're definitely in a downtrend, lower highs and lower lows here as of late. The U.S. dollar ripping to the upside over the last several months. Probably not a good catalyst for the wheat market either. If that U.S. dollar does come in a little bit, that potentially could add a little bit of a tailwind to the wheat market. But right now, the bears in clear control of that market, and we can see that through the managed money position as well as they continue to grow that net short position. So that's what we're looking at. So you should be looking at too. If you have any questions at all, please feel. Now, over on the wheat side of things, that's where we're going to finish today. Monday's crop progress report, really good for the winter wheat crop, 55%. good to excellent rating as of Sunday. That was up from 49% a week earlier and above the average analyst of 51%. That improvement since late October amounts to a 17% increase in good to excellent conditions, the biggest improvement ever for that time period. In other wheat news, the European Union reported soft wheat exports at 9.15 million metric tons. That was down 30% from 13.08 million tons last year. The wheat market, that's been a tough one. We're definitely in a downtrend, lower highs and lower lows here as of late. The U.S. dollar ripping to the upside over the last several months. Probably not a good catalyst for the wheat market either. If that U.S. dollar does come in a little bit, that potentially could add a little bit of a tailwind to the wheat market. But right now, the bears in clear control of that market, and we can see that through the managed money position as well as they continue to grow that net short position. So that's what we're looking at. So you should be looking at too. If you have any questions at all, please feel free to reach out. My direct line, 312-837-3938. You can also email Oliver at Blue Line Futures. Remember, trading futures and option does involve substantial risk of loss and is not suitable for all investors.